Maybe it's just a problem with me possibly having small, dainty hands. All right, everybody, what is up? What is up? As always, thanks for stopping by to another video today. As you can see, we are lucky enough to be in some garage space here today. We're gonna be doing a quick install on the 2022 Harley Street Bob. We are gonna throw some new grips here on the Street Bob. So what I decided to go with was the Arlen Ness rubber knurled grips here. I'll get into why I chose these in just a second, but like I said, lucky enough to be in the garage today. This is a little bit different style for me. I don't do too many install videos, but this is one I definitely wanted to get out there for anybody with any questions on these grips or how to do these grips as well. As you can see, we got another nice bike over here. We got a Honda Shadow over in this garage that I was lucky enough to use today. Got a nice Jeep sitting over here as well. So lucky to be in the garage today. We're gonna get right to this install. Should be fairly quick and easy. Grips are not something that I've actually done before. I didn't do any grips on my Sportster yet. I think I might change those out, but there is a reason why I was looking at switching out these Street Bob grips that I'll tell you about. So taking a look at these grips, I've got about 2,300 miles of ride time on this Street Bob so far, and I've really enjoyed it. Most things about it, haven't had to switch out too much, you know, some seat, change the handlebars, the direction that those sit a little bit. But one thing that I've noticed as I've started to ride this more and more is I don't think I like the thickness of these grips on the Street Bob and stock grips on some of the other Softails and M8s that I have ridden. So maybe it's just a problem with me possibly having small, dainty hands. I know I'm gonna get roasted for this in the comments as soon as I say this, but I just feel like the grip is so big and like the levers are kind of big and a little bit of a reach that my wrist, hand really gets worn out. I even started to get a little elbow pain kind of from the size of this grip is what I was assuming it was from. Maybe it's the angle of the bars. I'll probably switch those out one day, but just something about kind of the size of the grips and then the reach to the brake. Also with the reach to the clutch as well. When I'm sitting in traffic, kind of the size of the grip, the angle of my wrist here, the reach to the clutch, I don't know what it is. I'm just assuming it's kind of the diameter of these stock grips. I wanted to switch these out to something a little bit smaller in diameter to maybe hopefully give my wrists, my hands some relief, my elbows some relief from all this work of the clutch and brake that I'm doing sitting in traffic and stuff like that. When I'm out on the freeway, just kind of like all throttle, it's not as big of a deal, but I'm pretty sure the diameter of this is what has been giving me a little bit of that fatigue in the hands and the wrist. Let me know if anybody else out there has experienced the same thing. Again, like I said, maybe it's just me having some small, dainty hands. I know I'm gonna get roasted for that in the comments, but hey, it is what it is. These grips just feel a little bit too thick for me. We're gonna go ahead and get these things swapped out to the Arlen Ness grips, which I have read should be a little bit smaller in diameter, so I'm excited to get these things on here and then give them a test. We'll hop on after we do that as well. Also, since this should be a pretty quick one, we're also gonna throw in a little bonus one here for you. I did get a new screen for the Memphis Shades Road Warrior fairing. Right now, I've got the 9-inch vented screen on there. You can see the vents. You can see that's the 9-inch. This is actually the cafe style screen. And the reason I wanted to get this, I don't see a lot of people having it, so this will also be a quick, easy one. We'll throw this on at the end. Make sure you stick around for that to see what the profile and look of this screen looks like on the Road Warrior, but let's get to those grips. So we're gonna go ahead and start with the throttle side first. Of course, we are going to need a Torx screwdriver to get these bits of the control housing out here. So we'll go ahead and get those undone. So that should have us loosened up here enough to pop this off. So we're gonna have that slid down just a little bit, and then you'll see this throttle side grip is just gonna slide right off here. So then another thing to notice here, this is gonna be your fly-by-wire mechanism over here. Down in these grips, you've got the corresponding teeth right here that are going to line up inside. That's what gives you that snap when you're hitting the throttle. We're gonna make sure that that snaps back once we get the new one on. So that's just a quick, easy disassembly of the old one. We'll just set this off to the side. We'll get the new Arlen Ness one out here in just a second. Alrighty, so here's the new Arlen Ness throttle side. Again, I don't know if you guys can see it down in there, but you're gonna have those grips of the teeth that are gonna hit your fly-by-wire right here. So we're just gonna start to slide this one on. We're gonna get it down into the grooves of the housing right here to make sure that it stays locked in, and then we'll get the screws in, and then we should be good to go with the throttle side. Alrighty, so throttle side, we felt a nice little click there. We got it into the housing piece, so just give it a few twists there, make sure it feels normal, just like the stock one did. So you can feel right there that you're kind of locked into those teeth, you're locked into the housing, you feel good to go there. Good, a couple more snaps, and we should be good to go on that throttle side, and then we're gonna pop the housing back onto the other side. And then we'll give it another check here, make sure that throttle side is staying in there, into the grooves. We've still got the twist for the throttle. Feels good. I can definitely feel these have a little bit less diameter already, so I think we're gonna be good to go here, feeling a little better with the diameter of those grips. Alrighty, so the final look at the throttle side, and make sure I got the housing all tightened up here. Again, it was this screw here, this screw down on the bottom. You're gonna set the end of this throttle side into the channel in there, tighten it up, clamp it back down, make sure you got that flick, that twist, those grooves are locked in, and then we are good to go with the throttle side. We're gonna get over to the clutch side. All right, so bringing it over to the clutch side now, we're gonna undo some of these screws here. Already got these moving a little bit. All right, so let's go ahead, remove the top piece of the switch housing. And so this one's gonna be a little bit different because your clutch side is actually glued on there. So I have seen where there has been a little bit of trouble or difficulty getting that off there. We'll see how this goes. I think we'll probably end up having to splice this off with a knife, but after that, this should be pretty easy. All right, so I do think what we're gonna do here is we've got the housing kind of loosened up here a little bit. So I do think we're gonna take a razor blade to this and see how it goes. So the end of this is getting pretty tough. Let's switch over to a knife here, see if that goes a little bit better. A little trouble with the leverage of that tiny little blade. Alrighty, so we're getting closer and closer with this thing. I would say this is probably the hardest part so far with this thing glued on here, but you kind of just got to keep wedging, you know, a blade or a knife in there, and this will really start to come off. So we're gonna rip the rest of this thing off and then get this cleaned up before we put the other part of the grip on. So like I said, you're gonna see some residue left over. We wanna get this cleaned up a little bit nicer, so we'll take the blade back to this, get all these little pieces off of here. Alrighty, so we're getting this side finished up here. I don't know if it's my razor blade, but also I don't have the patience to continue cleaning all this stuff off here. I think we got this good enough and smooth enough. Of course, the clutch side, we're gonna have the glue that we are about to put down in the grip. We're just gonna slide it right on there, and then we will be good to go. Let that thing dry up for just a little bit, and then pretty much gonna have this wrapped up. Alrighty, so we got our glue on our grip. We're gonna pop this thing open, drizzle some glue in here, drizzle some glue over here on the grip, and then slide it on. Alrighty, here we go. We are glued up. Let's give this thing a push and a slide on here. Make sure we have it lined up because this thing will start to set pretty quick. We're just going to push it right up in there. Make sure we got it all the way. All right, so while that settles in, we're just gonna put the top of the switch housing back on here with our clamp and screws. Alrighty, so there we have it. We're just about good to go here. We got the top of the housing back on, got the screws in tight. I'm just gonna give it a little push pull here, make sure everything's tight, back in place where it should be. Grip is feeling tight and locked in, and it does feel better, at least to my bare hand. I usually wear gloves, obviously, but hopefully that helps kind of shorten up with the diameter of the grip here. I can give you a good little reach to the clutch. Feels pretty good so far. I'm excited to hop on give this thing a test run with these new grips. Alrighty, so there we have it. Let's take one last look at these. So they look pretty good. I mean, obviously just black, they're not gonna change the look too much. Like I said, I was just hoping for a little bit of a better enhanced feel, and to the bare hand, feels pretty good so far. Feels like a little less diameter. Again, pretty easy and quick install. I mean, you could pop these things on and off depending on how long it takes you to kind of cut off that glued stock grip. You're gonna be able to do this, accomplish this pretty quickly. So this side pops in easy, other side's good. I mean, you can do this in like 15-20 minutes or so, and then be back on the road with some new grips. So then, like I said, the next part of this is I just want to pop off this Memphis Shades vented piece here real quick, and then throw on this new cafe style I got, and we'll take a look at that as real quick as well. So these things obviously super easy to pop on and off. You just got like some little flathead hardware right here. We're just gonna undo that, pop this thing off, and pop the new one on. So once you got all the screws out, this thing obviously just gonna pop off pretty easy. So we got the new one mocked up here. Haven't clamped anything down yet. It looks pretty good so far. Let me go ahead and finish up putting the hardware in here. Alrighty, so there we have it. We've got the Memphis Shades cafe screen now on the Road Warrior fairing of the Street Bob. So this gives you a little bit of a look. We'll take a better look of it outside too. We're gonna hop on the bike, take it for a ride as well. But like I said, these are easy to interchange. I've had a few different ones on here. I've had the 11-inch screen, I had the 9-inch vented screen. So I'm just kind of curious to see how some of them work from different looks, styles, wind protection, stuff like that. So we are gonna wheel the bike out now. We've got our new grips on. We got a little bit of a different look up front with this piece. So we're gonna hop on this thing, take it for a ride, get a couple quick first impressions of some grips and the screen. We'll catch you on the bike. Alrighty, real quick before we hop on this thing to give it a little test ride with the new grips and the screen outside, get a little bit of better lighting out here. So obviously we got the grips, give you a little side profile look at the new screen we put on the Road Warrior, give you a front look as well. We'll get that wiped down and cleaned up. Gives it just a little bit of a different profile. The other screens, they kind of come straight up. This gives you a little bit more of a rounded look, but we'll have more details on this, more video on this coming up at a later time. Throttle side grip here, we're good to go. So let's go ahead, hop on this thing. I'm liking the looks of both of these so far. Let's hop on, give our first impressions of some of these items. Alrighty, on the bike now, we've got the new grips. As you can see, we've got the new Memphis Shades screen here, so we're giving a quick little ride around town while we got some of the new items installed here. And so really with the grips, I'm just kind of checking on like the feel and diameter basically. Like I said before, after riding for a while, I would start to feel like the stock grips were just so chunky. Looking for something a little bit smaller, a little bit less diameter, something a little easier reach to the brake and clutch lever. Obviously, we're just hopped on now. This isn't going to be like, you know, long term or anything, just first impressions. And they definitely do feel thinner in diameter. Obviously, they look better. That's no question. So we could take a closer look at them as we are stopped at this stoplight here. So obviously the look much better than stock. You know, you don't feel like these are going to kind of like degrade or deteriorate down like the stock ones do sometimes. You got that good knurling right here for your grip. Now I will say that as far as like the feel or the comfort of them, I'm not really expecting too much from the comfort. I mean, they're both, if you think about it, comparing this to stock, you know, it's just a hard, dense rubber material, obviously similar to stock. Now there are some I know that you can get it like foam or like memory foam or something like that, but I didn't go with those. As far as like the squeeze or the comfort, not anything I was too concerned about. I was really just concerned about the diameter, trying to shorten that up a little bit, make this a little bit more comfortable. Obviously this could also be in relation to how the bars are set up. Maybe that'll get fixed if I swap the bars out at some point too. But at least so far within the first couple minutes here of, you know, in some town traffic, stuff like that, I think they've served their purpose so far. I like the diameter. It's going to take a while for me to obviously know how they're going to work out long term, but maybe we'll check in later when we have, you know, a few months ride time on these things. Also, as far as the screen goes, not a whole lot to say about that. That's going to be a whole separate video in itself. We're going to do some more videos on the Memphis Shades Road Warrior fairing. Like I said, I've had an 11-inch, I've had a 9-inch vented, and now I've got this cafe style hooked onto here. One of the main reasons for that is I don't see it out a lot of places. I see a lot of like 9, 11, and 13. I was like, you know what, I just want to do something a little different, but that's a whole other video for another day. For the most part, Just want to talk a little bit about these grips, show you the new fairing, get some new parts added on here. So that will basically wrap this one up for now. I'm excited to talk to you guys about these things more long term. Again, just install initial impressions of these things. But anyways, as always, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for stopping by. If you like anything we got going on here, make sure you go ahead and like this video, subscribe to the channel, drop a comment down there. Love to hear from everybody out there. And as always, make sure you ride safe out there, guys. It's the Moto John. We'll see you on down the road. Peace.